topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, welcome everybody. This is the Ask the Expert show with local experts in the field of legal, health, home improvement, and financial. Tonight's show, as always, is brought to you by board certified family law attorney Tina Lord. Call Tina today if you have a family law problem. Her phone number is 561-544-6861. Tonight we've got off schedule due to the holidays last month, but we're slowly getting back on. If you'd like to call in tonight, our phone number is 561-623-9429. Tonight we have our K. Bender Rimbaum. They're an association law firm, one of the largest in the state of Florida, with offices in Pompano, Palm Beach, Orlando, and Tampa. I don't even need notes for them. They've been with us for 5 years. If you would like to watch tonight's show, if you'd like to watch us on TV, go to www.w4, that's the number 4, cy.com. You can actually watch us live tonight. And I want to welcome back one of the attorneys at K. Bender Rimbaum, who has been with us before. It was a great show. Let me welcome you to Attorney Andrew Black. Good evening, Andrew.
Hey there, Steve. Great to be here. Nice to see you.
It's perfect. I mean, your picture looks wonderful, and we are back on track. And as always, we get so many questions from our listeners, and we felt like that's the best way to do it, rather than us just picking a topic, because it is our listener show. Again, we are on TV right now, but if you'd like to call in, you may call in and ask Attorney Andrew Black a question as regards to association law, whether you're in a condo or an HOA. You have a question. You might be a board member, you might be a management company, or you might be a resident there. This is the greatest time to call in. We run this show on the first and last Thursday of the month, but here we are tonight, kind of in the middle of the month. Andrew, tell everybody about your background.
Absolutely. Well, I am a board certified condominium law attorney. Our firm, K. Bender Rimbaum, we're a full service community association firm. We represent over 1,000 condos, co-ops, HOAs, all throughout Florida. Any possible matter that could impact your community, whether it's contract review, assessment, collection, rule enforcement, construction problems, general corporate law. We're truly a soup to nuts firm. And I spend each day hopefully solving problems, solving questions that we get raised by our community association clients.
You will notice that we are scrolling down at the bottom of the show, classes that you have coming up. And I think it's so great how your firm gives their time in educating board members about all the different changes, law changes that are happening. And before we get started, and I'm not trying to start the show off on a downer, but I have to read all these texts that come in, and I got to tell you, Andrew, people are scared. They're scared that what's happening with their homeowners insurance. They're concerned about rising prices, whether it's golf or tennis or even the restaurants. And it seems like a lot of people are on fixed incomes. And now with this, this new law that's going to go into effect, anything over 3 stories or higher, they're going to have to bring in architects and engineers. So people are worried because they're going to be the ones paying for that.
Yeah, and you absolutely raised some very valid and good points. On the first point, our firm does give lots of free courses. We encourage all board members, managers, owners to sign up. I always joke, being on a board, the pay's not very good, right? It's zero.
Yeah, it's zero.
So we certainly want to assist those board members out there to encourage them to just learn. Really, there's so much to learn out there, whether it's the Florida statutes, there's case law, there's arbitration decisions. There's lots of important information out there. Regarding the legislative changes, you're certainly talking about the Senate Bill 4D. It's been a hot topic. Obviously, our firms has given lots of courses on that. And certainly, due to the horrible tragedy when that Surfside condo fell, there had to be some type of legislative response that came in the form of this Senate Bill 4D, which requires, there's milestone inspections, there's structural integrity reserve inspections. The way the law reads now, as of December 31st, 2024, those communities will not be able to waive reserves or even partially fund reserves. And the intent, the sort of 10,000-foot view of all of this, is they don't want, and I say they, the legislative response is they don't want communities kicking the can down the road anymore when it comes to these important structural repairs. And they want associations to set aside funds, right? Have those rainy day reserve funds available. So when that remaining useful life of the roof or various other structural components need to be fixed, there's money available already. And you don't need to perhaps levy a special assessment or chase down owners for the funds at that time. So certainly, if you're in a condominium or a cooperative, certainly 3 stories or higher, if you haven't already begun thinking, planning, evaluating all of these milestone inspection, structural reserve requirements, I certainly think it would be prudent. Now's the time to get with your association attorney. If you have a property management company, get with your property management company, start speaking with licensed engineers, reserve studies specialists. There's certainly a whole cottage industry out there that can assist boards with addressing these very important things.
We have a line open at 561-623-9429. I believe we've got a phone call.
Great.
Caller, are you there? Juan, is there a caller there? Okay. So, hey, live radio, folks. So let's go to our next question. And I got to tell you, people, the amount of questions that are coming in from this show. We're going to start off with Bonnie in Boca. She said, "Hi, Andrew. I am a board. I guess I'm on the board, and I love your show. Can you clarify passed a 40-year inspection, do we still have, I guess they passed a 40-year inspection, do we still have to address new laws now or at the 50-year mark?
Right. So I believe Bonnie's likely referring to prior to this new Senate Bill 4D, there was 2 counties in Florida, Miami-Dade and Broward, that did already have a county ordinance requirement to do some 40-year inspection, and if you needed repairs to do those, and then every 10 years after that. What I would suggest, Bonnie, is get with your association's attorney to review whether your 40-year inspection that it sounds like you've passed, whether that could perhaps qualify for the new Senate Bill 4D, whether it be the milestone inspection. I would think it would be unlikely that it would qualify for the structural reserve inspection, but I do think it would be worthwhile to get with your association's attorney and review exactly what type of engineer reports you have.
Hey, we have a fan of the show that I'm going to go to first this time because we had so many calls the last time that we didn't get him on. Let's welcome Barry from Miami. Hey, Barry. Barry, are you there? Let's try one more time. Barry in Miami.
Yes.
See, last time.
It's going to be a glitch bill.
There's Barry.
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you fine.
Okay. My question for Andrew is, do you think there's going to be a glitch bill that resolves all the ambiguities in the condo reform law?
Sure. Well, actually, Michael Bender from our firm, this was very good timing. He's boarding a plane to Tallahassee, I believe, on Monday to hopefully get involved with the legislators up there, more of in a face-to-face way. I would say no one knows for sure what type of glitch bill there will be regarding Senate Bill 4D. We're hoping that there will be some clarity provided. My gut tells me is I would manage expectations that there's going to be much substantive changes in this upcoming legislative session, but stay tuned. Things in Tallahassee can change rapidly. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay. Yeah, because my understanding is that it's not a very high priority at all, and that there probably will not be a glitch bill, and that's coming from pretty good sources.
Yeah, that's why my gut tells me manage, and I'm not saying for you personally, but just generally manage expectations that there'll be, any real substantive changes that we would want to write home about. No
substantive changes. I don't think there's going to be technical changes. I don't think there's going to be anything, and that's coming from the person, the legislator, who is in charge of the whole thing. There's one legislator, you well know, who dictated the bill last time. He's going to be a future House Speaker.
Yeah.
Recommendations. The legislator has given it to him. It is not a high priority for either the House or the Senate, and that's coming from the person who's going to dictate the whole bill. He dictated it last time.
Right. Yeah, that's why I think we'll have to wait and see. But I certainly share the general statement that I don't think there'll be much, if anything, at all. We shall see.
Thank you.
You got it, Barry. Thank you for calling.
So, Andrew, if these statues would have been put in place before Surfside, how much of a difference would it have made?
Right. I mean, that's certainly a very important and almost intriguing question. I'm not a structural engineer. I think the actual cause of the Surfside collapse, I think there was a multitude of factors. There was a great Miami Herald. They did a whole series of really, I thought, pretty great journalism explaining what the engineers think were the likely causes of the actual structural problems that led to the building, falling, which was just horrible. Look, the changes of the law are not going to stop a building from having structural problems, right?
Okay.
I think the goal of the bill is to encourage, mandate increased inspections, having more licensed professionals with eyeballs on these structures can't be a bad thing. And even if it stops one building from falling, then certainly that would be a positive, result.
I agree.
I think there is going to be a significant financial impact to this that can't be overlooked. I mean, the bottom line is, I think most professionals in this field, their conclusion, which I certainly share, is that the cost of owning a condo is going to significantly increase. And I think anyone who who hasn't come to terms with that may be in for a, rude awakening. I do think there's going to be just increased cost due to these enhanced inspections, enhanced reserve requirements, and the financial health of a community. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's as important, of course, as the structural health, but certainly when you buy into a condominium, having a good idea of what its financial status is, I think is a very important factor when you're thinking about buying
because mortgage rates are going up, and from what I understand, there's a lot of money from out of the country that's coming in and buying up a lot of these condos, which means prices are going to be going up. I mean, there's a lot tied to this, and people need, like I said, I don't want to be a downer, but people need to understand this and start preparing for whatever that means.
Yes, you should absolutely. If you're on a board currently, you should be having conversations with your financial professional, the association's accountant. You should be having important conversations with your insurance, knowing, what the increase will be, and certainly with your association's attorney to ensure that you're not going to run afoul of what these new legal requirements are.
Hey, let's go back to the phone. Let's go to Suzanne in Tampa. Good evening, Suzanne.
Hey, Suzanne.
Suzanne? Suzanne going once. Suzanne in Tampa.
Hello.
Is she still? Oh, there you are. Hi, Suzanne.
Yes. Can you hear me?
We hear you fine. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
My question is, actually, I have two questions. Okay, I have two questions.
We don't charge anymore for two questions, Suzanne.
Yes.
Go ahead. Suzanne?
Okay. Our president unilaterally changed our insurance agents without board discussion or knowledge. The owners have recently been advised and would like to know if they should pursue a lawsuit against her.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling. Thank you for the question. I'll do the last part first, whether they should pursue a lawsuit. Obviously, they can certainly consult with a Florida licensed attorney on that. Usually there needs to be some damages that resulted from that action in order to have a viable lawsuit. Obviously, anyone can file a lawsuit at any time about anything, whether it has a merit and whether it'll be a successful lawsuit. That's a different story. Going back to the first part, and we get asked a lot of questions about perhaps an individual board member, what I call doing rogue actions, just signing things without the rest of the board knowing about it, or without majority approval from the board. And what I would say, if that's an issue for your board, you should certainly be addressing it, because at the end of the day, decisions to bind the corporation, which is the condominium association, that should be decided by a majority of the board. And unless a majority of the board previously approved giving one board member authority to take certain action, I don't think it is good practice for a single board member to kind of go rogue and sign things and make important changes without having majority support for that. So hopefully your board can clear that up going forward.
Does that address your question, Suzanne? I think she's listening to the radio at the same time. Okay, so let's go to break. Let's give everybody your phone number, and let's go to break. And we come back. We've got so much more to talk about. Andrew, what's the number at the office?
The office at the Broward phone number is 954-928-0680. You can reach any of our offices at 1-800-974-0680. And we have offices, as you said, Broward, Palm Beach Gardens, Tampa, Orlando, and by appointment in Miami as well.
Beautiful. Okay, let's go to break. We come back. We have more with our K. Bender Rimbaum Association Legal Group and attorney, board certified attorney. You deserve that. Andrew Black. We'll be right back.
K. Bender Rimbaum is a full-service community association law firm dedicated to the representation of community associations throughout Florida. On kbrlegal.com, you can learn more about their offices in Pompano Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, Orlando, Tampa, as well as throughout Miami-Dade by appointment. Several K. Bender Rimbaum attorneys are board-certified specialists in condominium and plan development law and assist clients with all matters of community association legal issues while keeping them up to date on new developments that affect their associations. K. Bender Rimbaum is also a well-known provider of free legal education for managers and board members. Contact K. Bender Rimbaum today by calling 800-974-0680. That's 800-974-0680 to reach any of their locations. You can also visit them online at kbrlegal.com or write to them at info@kbrlegal.com.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
We're back. This is the Ask the Expert show. We bring you local experts in the field of legal, health, home improvement, and financial. Our show is always brought to you by board-certified family law attorney Tina Lord. Give Tina a call today. She is a family law attorney. Her phone number is 561-544-6861. If you would like to call here, if you have a question for board-certified attorney Andrew Black, the phone number here is 561-623-9429. Or you can actually watch us too at www.w4, the number 4, CY. .com. And while you're watching us, you can actually write us questions on the side of your monitor. So a lot of new bells and whistles. We're going to go back to our text that we got in, and we're going to start with Jackie in Aventura. She wants to know, what, if any, are grounds to disapprove a lease application?
Oh, that's a great question. We deal with these types of issues a lot. The first thing is you want to make sure that your governing documents have the underlying authority for the board to even approve someone that wants to rent. I can't tell you how many times I've dealt with fact patterns where a manager or a board has asked a similar question that Jackie asked, and I go to review what their governing documents say, and they don't even have any approval authority at all. So you certainly want to make sure that you do have that underlying authority. Regarding the grounds to deny, I certainly think before you're going to reject anyone to rent, I think it's worthwhile, if you haven't, to consult with your association's attorney to make sure you're not running afoul and using a factor that you should not be. Some of the common factors that we think could be a possible basis is if there's a material misrepresentation on the application. That's just a fancy word for someone lied in a very serious way. That could certainly be one reason to reject someone. Another common one is if the application on its face already reflects that applicant's going to violate a rule that you have. For instance, if your community doesn't allow commercial trucks, and the application shows that the renter has a commercial truck, that is already showing that the applicant's going to violate a rule that you have, and that could be a basis as well. We get asked a lot about using criminal history as a basis to turn someone down. I think you want to be very cautious about that. There could be fact patterns where serious convictions of crimes, that could be used. But I definitely think before that, you go and send that written rejection letter that you get with your association's attorney.
Well, I got to tell you, we've just started this new comment on the side that people can write questions in, and I was just overwhelmed. Let's see if we can get to some of these questions. I also want to let you know that you're going to be live in Broward Expo on February 7th, and the courses include navigating FFHA, assistant animal or pet. Well, yes. We haven't gotten those lately. And legal update for 2023. Let's go to Ronnie Karen. She wants to know, can a condo board member or can a condo board make a rule that you cannot rent your unit after purchase for 2 years? This is not in the docs, only the rules.
Sure. So the short answer is that would likely be outside of the rulemaking authority of the board. That type of substantive restriction on your ability to rent, that's something that should be incorporated into your governing documents, which almost always require an owner vote to amend them. So if the board is looking to adopt that lease restriction solely by board rule, I do think there is absolutely the chance that someone could have a successful legal challenge to that.
Let's go to another question. This is, we were talking before about prices going up. This is from Ace. So, Stephen, you mentioned potential prices of condos going way up. Don't you both think they would go down as units become more difficult to fill and supply outweighs demand? What do you think
Sure.
about
I
that,
mean, yeah, I
Jason?
mean, I'm not in the real estate
Right.
speculation industry. I think the market does funky things from time to time. Um, I do think it'll be a wait and see approach. I don't think the market, it's somewhat plateaued right now. Obviously, prices were
Yes.
very high for a while. I know it's somewhat plateaued. Um, I think if you're a current owner, the cost of owning your condo, as far as how much you're going to be paying in assessments, I think that is likely to go up. I think what the actual sales price will be if you try to sell your unit going forward, I think a lot will depend on where your building's located, the size, how old it is. There could be a wide variety of factors that actually impacts what the sales price will be.
I got to tell you, we are getting messages from everywhere. What a popular show tonight, but this show has always been very, very popular. Here's Amber in West Palm Beach. If you've gotten a violation notice and removed it to the satisfaction, then repeat the violation, are there further steps the board can take? Our condo docs don't say anything.
Gotcha. So this sounds like there is a habitual rule breaker there where, they
Yes.
violate a rule, they fix it, they're basically behave for a while and they start up again. Certainly, if your association has appointed an independent fining committee, you could explore fining that homeowner, whether they cured it one time. If they start it up again, you can treat that as a brand new fine. At the end of the day, there's no magical sprinkle you can pour on them for them to stop violating the rules. If they don't comply after you've sent repeated requests to do so, you get your attorney involved. He or she sends a violation out and the owner still does not comply. The Florida statutes, whether it's a condo in Chapter 718, co-op in Chapter 719, or a homeowners association in Chapter 720, all three of those do provide a formal dispute resolution process where an association can ultimately file legal action against that habitual rule offender.
Let's go back to another viewer. She wants to know, can the board restrict an owner from allowing his 30-year-old nephew residing in a unit for free in 55 and older building?
Gotcha. So it sounds like this is a housing for older persons
Yes.
community, which, if you think about it, is the only permissible discrimination that's allowed, right? You're basically discriminating on the age. And the way that a housing for older person community operates is you must have at least 80% of the homes occupied by one person 55 years of age or older. You can completely prohibit anyone from under the age of 18. If they have someone in the unit that's 55 or older, I wouldn't see a basis that they could refuse someone between the ages of 18 and 54. Perhaps there's language in that particular community's governing documents that sets forth what the occupancy restrictions are, whether there's restrictions against family or someone just staying overnight. So I would encourage that person to get with their attorney to review what your governing documents say regarding family member occupancy.
Okay, we got to go to our last break. We're here. This is the Ask the Expert show. We are here with Attorney Black, and if you've got a question for him, you can actually write in. Well, everybody's writing in tonight, or you can call us here at the studio if you want to get on air at 561-544-6861. Andrew, give everybody the phone number, the toll-free number that works for all of your locations.
Sure. It's 1-800-974-0680. And you can call that number. You can reach any of our offices, and we'll be happy to assist you.
Okay, we'll be right back with more Ask the Experts.
K. Bender Rembaum is a full-service community association law firm dedicated to the representation of community associations throughout Florida. On kbrlegal.com, you can learn more about their offices in Pompano Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, Orlando, Tampa, as well as throughout Miami-Dade by appointment. Several K. Bender Rembaum attorneys are board-certified specialists in condominium and plan development law and assist clients with all matters of community association legal issues while keeping them up to date on new developments that affect their associations. K. Bender Rembaum is also a well-known provider of free legal education for managers and board members. Contact K. Bender Rembaum today by calling 800-974-0680. That's 800-974-0680 to reach any of their locations. You can also visit them online at kbrlegal.com or write to them at info@kbrlegal.com.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
And we are back. This is the Ask the Expert show. We had a call before from Suzanne in Tampa, and she actually told us she had two questions. She's actually back with us, I guess, for her second question. Suzanne, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what's your last question for Andrew?
Okay. I'm a condo board member, and even though our bylaws state that directors appoint committees, our president unilaterally appointed a committee of only 3 of the 7 board members to interview insurance agents. And she purposely excluded me and will not allow me to participate. What might I do in order to get my questions and those of owners answered during these interviews?
Sure. Well, I think the hopeful answer is that you can get majority of the board to support you. So if there's 7 board members, hopefully getting at least 4 to certainly bring these issues up. Really, there shouldn't be a minority of the board controlling these things. It really is a majority decision. So if you're able to get 4 board members that share the same types of thoughts and questions that you have, that would be the recommended approach. You could always try to submit your questions in writing and see if they'll get addressed that way. Certainly, if there's a board meeting that's open to the owners, just because you're on the board doesn't preclude you from asking questions on what those agenda items would be. So that would be an option that's available for you as well. But the best option would be to get majority behind you to get these issues addressed.
Okay. Anything we can do about the president who just makes unilateral decisions and
Yeah, so the officers on the board, whether it's the president, vice president, treasurer, those are appointed by a majority of the board. You might see a theme in my responses to you. So if you have 4 members of the board, you 4 do have the authority to remove that person from serving as president, and you could appoint another member of the board to take that officer role. So that might be the easiest way. You could reorganize officers without cause. There doesn't need to be a reason why. It's just because a majority of the board feels like this is the best course of action, and you would have the authority to change who is serving in that role.
Okay. Thank you for your advice.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Suzanne. Let's go to Lupino in West Palm Beach. She said, we have a new property manager that has taken $148,000 from reserves and used it in the operating funds. Is that legal?
Well, that's an interesting fact pattern. I'm assuming this is likely a condominium association.
Probably is.
And if the way the statute works under Chapter 718 is if you have statutory reserve funds, those are restricted. They should only be used for those reserve items. And the only time you can use reserve funds for an alternate use is if you get the owner approval for that. Obviously, the property manager is just an agent of the association. So I would like to think the manager was likely taking instruction from someone on the board to use these reserve funds in that way. If that did happen without an owner vote, an owner could file a challenge with that with the state of Florida that the association improperly used those reserve funds. So you certainly want to avoid that if you can.
Okay, let's go to Bart. Bart is in Palm Beach. He said, our condo board wants to install pavers around our pool area, which is very costly and will change the appearance and materials that are now there. Is this considered a material alteration?
That's a great question, Bart, and thank you for that. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you have heard that phrase, material alteration. It comes up most often in a condominium association. What Chapter 718 of the Florida statute says is you cannot undertake a material alteration unless you check what your governing document requirements say first. If your governing documents are silent, then you must obtain the approval of 75% of the owners in order to perform that material alteration. The state of Florida, via the Division of Florida Condominiums, in their arbitration decisions, they take what I consider a fairly conservative view on what would constitute a material alteration. A change of exterior paint color, they consider that a material alteration. So certainly if that type of material is not present in the community at all, and you're installing brand new flooring with a brand new type of flooring that's not there, that's likely a material alteration. So you need to confirm with what your governing documents say. Sometimes the governing documents actually allow the board to do a material alteration without an advance owner vote. And if your governing documents say that, that's fine. Another possible hypothetical is that your governing documents will say the board has the authority to do a material alteration up to a certain dollar amount. And if the alteration exceeds that dollar amount, then you have to get an owner vote. So really the first step, again, check to see what your governing documents say on the material alteration question. If your documents are silent under Chapter 718 of the Florida statutes, you do need 75% owner approval.
I got to get a short one. We only have a few minutes left. This is Fred in Palm Beach.
Sure.
They're in a condo, and we appreciate when you write us. Tell us if you're in a condo or an HOA, because there are differences. This is in regards to the international screening cost of $200. They want to know who pays the additional $50 since we are limited to $150.
Right. And that is a very good question. You might not love the answer. The answer is it's a expense of the condominium. So it is an association expense. The way the statute reads now, there is that $150 maximum per applicant, except for husband, wife, or parent, dependent child. They're considered one applicant. So there's a $150 cap. So if your third party company that you use charges more than $150, anything over that $150 would be a common expense of the association.
Okay. Hey, Andrew, I understand. I see why you're with such a great firm. And I think I told you this last time. I think you should also be a professor part-time. The way you explain things, because, you know, a lot of these board members have no experience. They've just joined the board for the first time. And when you're a board member, it's almost like running a large corporation.
Yeah.
And the way you explain it, we really appreciate it. Give everybody the toll-free number.
Sure. The toll-free number is 800-974-0680. Again, we encourage everyone, go to our website, kbrlegal.com. We have lots of free education courses. We do some of them in person. We do lots of them on Zoom. And yes, being a board member, it could be a thankless job. And I think a lot of owners sometimes forget that board members are owners as well. They pay the same assessments that any other owner pays, and they're really volunteering. They're stepping up because they hopefully have the best interest of the community in mind. Every board member has what's called a fiduciary duty to the owners. Just a fancy word. It means you're in a, you have a status of trust, and every decision you make, the primary goal should be what's in the best interest of everybody. And I think board members should take that obligation in a very serious way. Most of our board member clients do, and I do think it's very important, and it's a great thing to continue to attend these courses, these call-in shows. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, all your questions. We will be back with you again next Thursday at 5 o'clock. We have experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. This is all brought to you by a board-certified family law attorney, Tina Leward. You can reach her at 561-544-6861. We will see you next week. Andrew, thank you so much. What a great job.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much.
Have a good week. Everybody take care and God bless.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.